The IGNOU MSCGG project for MGGP 001 is the compulsory 8-credit project work course of the Master of Science in Geography program. You submit a fieldwork-based project report at your regional center and defend it in a Viva-Voce. Total 100 marks. 70% report, 30% Viva, and a minimum of 40 marks to pass. Now, before anything else, the fact that decides your marks in this course, and almost no website tells you. The official MGGP 001 Project Work Handbook says every student, whatever the topic, shall use cartographic and geospatial techniques. Maps are not optional decoration here. They carry their own marks on the examiner's evaluation sheet. Let us fix the basics. MGGP 001 is worth 8 credits, which the handbook calls the equivalent of 2 theory courses. It sits in semester 4, your second year. No separate study material is printed for it. The report runs about 50 to 80 double-space pages on A4 paper, and the pass mark is 40 out of 100. So what is the course actually asking for? The handbook is direct. MGGP 001 exists to develop your ability to apply multidisciplinary concepts, tools, and techniques to analyze and logically approach a problem in the field of geography. In plain words, take a real place, collect real data from it, map it, analyze it, and write it up as evidence. It is not a library essay. Some program context because it affects eligibility. MSCGG is the Master of Science in Geography, offered by the School of Sciences, specifically the discipline of Geography at IGNOU, New Delhi. It is 80 credits across 4 semesters, minimum 2 years and maximum 4, taught in English, open to graduates in any stream. Before we walk the process, let us clear the ground. 6 claims about MGGP 001 are repeated everywhere online, and every one of them is wrong. Myth 1, and this is the big one. Many websites describe MGGP 001 as a project that demonstrates your geoinformatics skills. That framing is borrowed from a different program entirely. MSCGG is Master of Science in Geography. MSCGI is Master of Science in Geoinformatics. 2 separate IGNOU programs, different course code families, different project courses. The difference is visible in the course codes themselves. MSCGG uses the MGG, MGGL, MGGE, and MGGP families. MSCGI uses the MGY family, and its project is a different course entirely. So if you are enrolled in MSCGG, your project is a geography project. Geospatial tools are compulsory inside it, yes, but the subject of your research is geography. Myth 2. Students assume maps are only needed for physical geography topics. The handbook says otherwise without exception. Whether you study migration, health, markets, or landforms, cartographic and geospatial techniques are required, and the handbook names the tools under methodology: GIS, remote sensing, GPS, and cartography. A report with no maps has already lost marks before the examiner reads a word. Myth 3. The same handbook carries 2 different breakdowns of the same 100 marks. Section 13 gives Review of Literature 5, Map 6, Overall Presentation 10. Annexure 10 gives 8, 8 and 5. Plan against Annexure 10, because that is the sheet your external examiner actually fills and signs. And note what never changes. Methodology 20, Analysis 24, Bibliography 5, Viva 30. Those 4 are 79 of your 100 marks. Myth 4. Do not trust the course codes printed in the handbook. It says you already did MGGL 003, Field Survey Methods, in Semester 3. but officially MGGL003 is geospatial analysis, and field survey methods is MGGL004. The supervisor clause repeats the error, listing MGG003 and MGG005 as geospatial courses when they are regional geography of India and climatology. So read the handbook by course title, never by number. Myth 5, and this one costs real time. The annexure numbers quoted in the handbook text do not match the annexure headings at the back. Section 8 tells you to enclose the consent letter as Annexure 4, but the page actually headed Consent Letter of Supervisor is Annexure 3, so do not chase numbers. Build your file by document title in the order the handbook gives, and you are correct either way. Myth 6, and it is the most expensive mistake here. There is no late submission for the MGGP 001 synopsis. The handbook states that a synopsis submitted after the given date range will not be considered, and that you must submit it in the next range. That next range is 6 months away. Miss October and your project moves to April. One missed month costs a full semester. So that is the ground cleared. Now the official route, step by step. The handbook opens with a flow chart worth memorizing, because nearly every dispute at a regional center traces back to a skipped step. Read the handbook. Pick your area, select your supervisor. Finalize the topic with them. Prepare the synopsis in the handbook format. Submit it at the regional center. Collect data only after approval. Analyze it. Write the report. Submit again at the regional center. Pay the exam fee. Then the Viva. Now the dates the whole course runs on. For the July session, synopsis between the 1st and 31st of October in semester 3, report between the 1st and 31st of May, and the project term end examination, and Viva between the 15th of July and the 14th of August. For the January session, synopsis in April, report in November, Viva between the 15th of January and the 15th of February. Next, the person whose signature your whole project depends on. Your supervisor decides whether your synopsis even reaches an evaluator. The base eligibility is specific. Retired or working as regular faculty, holding a master's degree in geography, and teaching geography courses at postgraduate level in a college or university department, recognized by the UGC. All three conditions apply together. A master's in a neighboring subject does not satisfy this clause. It says, geography. There are 3 routes and only one needs an extra step. If your supervisor is an academic counselor of the MSCGG program, they are already approved. So is anyone on the discipline of geography's approved list. But if you bring in any other geography expert, you must take prior approval for that supervisor from the discipline of geography before you submit. Students miss that one word, prior, and lose a full cycle. And remember, a consent letter is only consent. Approval is a separate decision. There is one useful relaxation. For the geospatial side of the program, the handbook also allows professionals from scientific organizations and industry, provided they hold a master's degree in geography and at least 2 years of relevant industrial experience. So a working GIS professional with a geography master's can supervise you. A software engineer without one cannot. One honest warning while we are on supervisors. IGNOU pays supervisors through its own remuneration process, and there is a remuneration bill for guidance of project printed in the handbook itself. So if anyone demands a personal fee in exchange for a signature, that is outside the system. For guide eligibility and duties across all IGNOU programs, see our IGNOU project guide and supervisor video. With your supervisor settled, the next decision shapes every mark that follows. Before the topic, decide the form. The handbook allows 3. a comprehensive case study covering an area problem with formulation, analysis, and recommendations. An interdisciplinary study comparing or validating theory against a survey. Or a field study, a straight empirical study. Most MSCGG students choose the third, and it is the safest because the whole program has trained you for it. The handbook gives 23 suggested research areas, and choosing from inside the list makes approval smoother. On the physical and environmental side, geomorphic processes, climate variability and climate change, integrated watershed management, hydrology and ocean studies, coastal zone management, biodiversity and conservation, disaster risk reduction, the Sustainable Development Goals, environmental impact assessment, agriculture and land use planning, and energy resources. On the human and applied side, human health and well-being, social well-being, sustainable tourism, urban sustainability in megacities, urban planning and smart cities, rural and regional development and planning, GIS and location analytics, spatial decision support systems, social geography, livelihood, trade and transport, and geopolitics. And one line many students never notice. The handbook says clearly that this list is only suggestive, and that you may choose a topic from other areas of geography and allied disciplines. So, if your work is genuinely geographical and your supervisor supports it, an unlisted theme is allowed. On the title, one rule: it must be definitive, conveying the subject matter being covered. Let us build one topic together. Suppose your interest is groundwater. That is a subject, not a topic. An evaluator cannot see a method inside it, so it comes back for revision. Narrow it with 3 specifics. A place, the peri-urban fringe of Jaipur, where farmland is turning into plots. Variables, land use and land cover change, and groundwater stress. And a time frame you can evidence. 2005 to the present. Put those together and the title writes itself. Land use and land cover change and its impact on groundwater stress in the peri-urban fringe of Jaipur, Rajasthan. Read it once and you already know the place, the variables, the discipline, and the method. That is what the handbook means by a definitive title. And it carries the compulsory maps naturally, because land cover change is mapped by definition. From that title, 4 measurable objectives follow directly. To map land use and land cover change across the period. To measure the change in groundwater levels over the same period. To examine the relationship between built-up expansion and groundwater decline. And to assess how affected households and farmers are coping. Each objective now carries a method, and that is exactly what earns 20 marks. Your topic is set. Now the document that gets it approved. The synopsis has 8 parts in this order. Introduction. Literature review to identify the topic, the gap, and the methodology. Rationale. Objectives and research questions, which the handbook itself calls the most important aspect of any project. Research methodology. Limitations. Organization of the work, and references. For general synopsis writing, see our IGNOU synopsis video. Keep this one for the MGGP 001 specifics. Methodology is where synopses are won or lost, so the handbook breaks it into 8 subpoints. Treat these as a checklist. Research design. Nature and source of data. Sample and sampling technique, with a rationale. Tools and questionnaire with their relevance to your objectives. The data collection method. The relevance of your statistical tools. Data handling and analysis. And interpretation and synthesis. Now the part that gets synopses rejected without being read. Your synopsis is not one document, it is a file, assembled in this sequence. The proforma for approval of project synopsis. The format for synopsis evaluation. The consent letter of the supervisor, the biodata of the supervisor, required whenever your guide is not a counselor and not on the approved list, and then the synopsis itself. The handbook's wording here is blunt. A synopsis without those enclosures will not be evaluated, not rejected on merit, not returned with comments. Simply not evaluated. And note what the evaluator judges once it does reach them. The official evaluation format gives 8 headings. Introduction, review of literature, rationale, objectives and hypotheses, sample, tools, data analyses and references. Check every signature and every date before you hand it in. 3 outcomes are possible on the proforma: approved as submitted, approved after modifications, in which case the handbook says the synopsis need not be submitted again, or not approved. Written communication reaches you within roughly 2 to 3 months. If it is not approved, the resubmission rule catches most students. You must send the revised proposal together with a fresh proposal pro forma and a copy of the rejected proposal carrying the evaluator's comments. Send only the corrected synopsis, and it will not move forward. The same evaluator reviews it again, which works in your favor. And keep copies because the approved proposal must be bound inside your final report. Approval in hand, you can finally go to the field. On methods, the handbook gives real freedom, then one hard condition. Qualitative work is allowed, and it names observation, participatory rural appraisal, and focused group discussions. Quantitative work is allowed: frequency, percentages, mean, standard deviation, coefficient of variance, correlation, regression, and composite indices. Mixed methods are allowed too and are often the strongest choice. And then the condition. Whatever you choose, all students shall use cartographic and geospatial techniques. So build at least a base map of your study area, a thematic map of your main variable, and where the topic allows, a change map across your period. On the Jaipur example, that means a land cover change map, a groundwater level map, and an overlay showing where the two coincide. The handbook also wants a study area background subsection covering physiography, climate, drainage, demography, and amenities, supported by maps. That is easy marks and where your cartography naturally lives. On ethics, the handbook is short and firm. Keep in mind the ethical issues you already know, and your supervisor must guide you on them. In practice, that means informed consent from respondents, honest reporting of what you actually found, no fabricated schedules, and full acknowledgement of every source. Your certificate of originality is a statement you sign, so make it true. The fieldwork is done. Now the report itself. Report specifications straight from the handbook. About 50 to 80 pages double-spaced on A4 paper given as 29 by 20 centimeters, properly typed and bound. 3 copies. 1 for your supervisor, 1 for you, 1 submitted at the regional center. The handbook allows rational variation on the page count, so treat 50 to 80 as a working range, not a hard wall. The structure has 13 elements, in this order: title page, certificate, acknowledgements, table of contents, lists of tables, figures, maps, and boxes. Introduction, literature review, objectives and research questions, database and methodology, results and discussion, summary and conclusion, references, and annexures, including your questionnaire, field sketches, and photographs. Here is a detail that contradicts most generic advice online. You will read everywhere that an IGNOU project must be 5 chapters. For MGGP 001, the handbook explicitly says chapters may not be possible at this level, and that sections and subsections may be used instead. So do not force a thesis skeleton onto a 50-page field report and write references in APA format, alphabetically listed. For general page setup and margins, see our IGNOU project format video. 4 documents must travel with the report, and a missing one is grounds for return. A declaration signed by you stating the work is original. A certificate of originality from your supervisor. A plagiarism check certificate, also signed by your supervisor. And the original approved proposal, bound inside the report. Your cover page must carry your enrollment number, program of study, name and address. A report received without these is liable to be returned for compliance. Where does it go? The regional center only. That is the handbook's wording for both the synopsis and the report. Some websites mention an online portal for MSCGG project submission. The MGGP 001 handbook does not. Until your own regional center tells you otherwise in writing, treat the counter as the root and get the acknowledgement pro forma stamped and signed when you submit. Your report is in. Now how it is marked. Evaluation in one screen, total marks 100, project report 70%, Viva-Voce 30%. Minimum to pass 40%, which is 40 marks out of 100, taken across the report and the Viva together. And here is the operative breakdown from Annexure 10, the sheet your external examiner fills. Objectives, hypotheses, and research methodology 20. Review of literature 8. Data analysis, interpretation, discussion and conclusion 24. Maps and cartographic presentation 8. Bibliography 5. Overall presentation 5. Viva-Voce 30. Look at where the weight sits. Methodology and analysis together are 44 marks, and maps alone carry 8. The examination machinery has rules that protect you. The external examiner comes from a list approved by the discipline of geography. The same examiner evaluates your report and then conducts your Viva, and that examiner must not be the person who guided you. Your regional center arranges both. A board of examiners at the Learner Support Center awards the marks, and no single evaluator handles more than 100 synopses in a year. 2 practical points about the Viva. You must fill the term-end examination form and pay an examination fee of 500 rupees to appear. And on the day, carry your identity card and proof of payment. Students have been turned away with neither. Confirm the current amount on ignou.ac.in before you pay, because the university revises fees from time to time. How do you prepare for a 30-mark Viva? Be ready to defend 6 things. Why this study area and not another? Where every number in your tables came from. Your sampling technique and why you chose it. Each of your maps, including source and scale, what genuinely surprised you, and what you would do differently with more time. Honest answers score better than rehearsed ones. And if you do not reach 40% across report and Viva, you are declared fail, but the route back is defined. Either revise the project report or take up an entirely new topic, prepare a fresh synopsis, carry out the study and submit again. The handbook lets you keep the same supervisor. So a fail here is a delay, not the end of your degree. The mistakes that cost marks in this course are predictable. Submitting a report with no maps. Starting data collection before approval arrives. Missing the 1-month synopsis window. Sending an incomplete enclosure file. Forgetting the plagiarism check certificate. Not binding the approved proposal inside the report. Writing objectives that no method can actually answer, and skipping the study area background subsection entirely. Now the question students actually ask, is the MSCGG degree valid? And is MGGP 001 worth it? IGNOU is a central university running under the UGC framework, and it states its degrees are treated as equivalent to those of other recognized Indian universities. The project is compulsory, so there is no version of this degree without it. But it is also the only part of the program where you produce original, mapped, field-based evidence under your own name. And it stays manageable alongside a job, provided you respect the calendar. On career value, qualitatively and without invented figures, the field's MSCGG itself lists our teaching and research, cartography and mapping, urban and regional planning, population and demographic studies, natural resource management, environmental management and sustainability, disaster management, transport and logistics, and GIS and remote sensing work. A finished MGGP 001 report is direct evidence for those roles. Let me close with the questions that come up most often. Can I collect data before my synopsis is approved? No. Project work can be taken up only after approval, and data gathered earlier may not match your approved objectives. How long does approval take? Written communication on approval or non-approval is sent within about 2 to 3 months. Do I need a separate topic approval? No, your topic is approved as part of the synopsis, but an off-list supervisor needs prior approval before you submit. Is there a separate project course fee? The handbook mentions a 500 rupee examination fee for the project term-end examination. There is no separate project tuition fee beyond your annual program fee. Is there a Viva in MGGP 001? Yes, and it carries 30 of the 100 marks, held at the study center or regional center after the written term-end examinations, and is MGGP 001 the same as MGSP 001? No. That prefix belongs to a different IGNOU program, so check the letters carefully. One more. The handbook is written throughout for an individual student, so treat this as individual work, not a group project. 4 videos on this channel go deeper on what I only touched here. IGNOU Synopsis for general proposal writing, IGNOU project format for page setup and referencing, IGNOU project guide and supervisor for guide eligibility, and IGNOU project topic selection for the full narrowing method. This video stays on MGGP 001. Quick recap: 8 credits, semester 4. Synopsis at the regional center in October or April. Report 50 to 80 pages, also at the regional center. 70 marks report, 30 marks Viva, 40 to pass. And maps compulsory for every single topic. One last piece of advice. Download the official MGGP 001 Project Work Handbook from your regional center and read it with a pen, because it carries the code and annexure errors we covered. Verify every date and fee on ignou.ac.in or Samarth. And fix your study area now before approval arrives, so you lose no field time. For help planning your MSCGG synopsis or report, the details are in the description and pinned comment. I am BK Sani, founder of ignouproject.com, guiding IGNOU students since 2010. Subscribe, and best of luck with your fieldwork.